Your one subscribe motivates us to bring more amazing USA-style emotional stories every day. If you believe small people can do big things, then subscribe to StoryUSA-g for more inspiring stories.
Be quiet. A beggar child is going to teach us how to run a train? Get out of here. Why won't you understand? If this train doesn't stop within 2 minutes, 500 people won't survive. Sir, the wheel is jammed. The brakes aren't working. We're heading straight toward the bridge. Kalyanpur Junction was covered in thick fog. People shivered in the cold. Some rubbed their hands together while others searched for hot tea. Amid the crowd, a thin little boy wearing a torn, oversized sweater ran around shouting, "Tea! Hot tea!" His name was Shiva. Shiva was alone in the world. No mother, no father. The only person he had was his grandfather, who once worked for the railways maintaining tracks. Before passing away, his grandfather had taught him something unusual. Son, train wheels speak. If you listen carefully, you can tell whether a train is safe or in danger. It was 11 p.m. Just then, a shiny new train arrived at platform number 1, the Neelagiri Superfast Express. This was no ordinary train. It had to pass through dangerous mountain routes. Shiva was freezing and exhausted. Then he noticed something. The door of the last parcel compartment was slightly open. He thought, I'll sit inside for just 5 minutes to warm up, then I'll leave. Quietly, he slipped inside. The compartment was slightly warm. Shiva hid behind some sacks and slowly closed his tired eyes. Suddenly, clang! The door slammed shut. Shiva jumped in fear. He rushed to the door and banged on it desperately. Hello? Somebody open the door! But outside, the station was noisy. Nobody heard him. Then, whoo! The train whistle echoed loudly, and the train slowly began to move. Shiva's heartbeat raced. He was trapped inside a train speeding into the darkness. Tears were about to fill his eyes, when suddenly he heard something strange beneath the floor. Shiva froze. He pressed his ear against the floor.
Danger. The driver's blood ran cold. Without wasting a second, he slammed the emergency brakes with full force. Screech! The train shook violently. Wheels screamed against the tracks. Sparks exploded everywhere. Passengers crashed into each other. But the train was moving too fast to stop instantly. Sliding and screeching, the engine finally entered the weak iron bridge. Below roared the dark river. The broken wheel hammered against the bridge floor. Every second pushed them closer to death. Then, suddenly, the lights went out. Darkness swallowed everything. Only the terrifying sparks outside illuminated the night. The man holding Shiva quickly pulled him back inside. One more jerk and Shiva would have fallen into the river. Slowly, very slowly, the emergency brakes began to work. Finally, the dam! With one last violent jolt, the train stopped. Silence. Only heavy breathing and the sound of the river below remained. The TTE shakily pointed his flashlight outside. What he saw made his legs weak. The last parcel compartment's wheel had completely derailed and was hanging in the air. If the train had moved even 2 seconds more, the compartment would have fallen into the river, dragging the entire train with it. A few minutes later, the driver and guard arrived with flashlights. The driver, sweating heavily, asked, "Who showed the red signal? If I hadn't seen it in time, none of us would be alive today." Silence filled the coach. Then everyone slowly looked toward one corner. There stood a small, frightened boy in torn clothes. Shiva. The same child everyone had called a thief had just saved more than 500 lives. Tears filled the driver's eyes. He stepped forward and hugged Shiva tightly. Even the TTE cried. He removed his warm black coat and wrapped it around Shiva. "Forgive me, son,"
he said with a trembling voice. "I judged your clothes, not your truth." The same passengers who had insulted him now surrounded him with love and respect. That night, Shiva became the greatest hero of the Neelagiri Express. The next morning,
Sir, the broken wheel damaged the brake pipes. Air is leaking. The emergency chain won't work. Chaos exploded inside the coach. Children cried. People screamed. The TTE tried contacting the driver through his walkie-talkie. Hello? Stop the train! Emergency! But only static answered back. The train had entered a mountain area with no signal. The driver had no idea what was happening behind him. Then freezing wind rushed through the windows. Passengers looked outside and gasped in horror. The train was now approaching the old iron bridge over the Black River. Below lay a deadly gorge hundreds of feet deep. Flames had begun rising from the jammed wheel. If that burning wheel climbed onto the weak bridge, the entire train could collapse into the river. Death was only seconds away. Then, suddenly, Shiva remembered another thing his grandfather had taught him. Without thinking about his own life, he ran toward the train door. "Quick, give me your torch and that red shawl," he shouted at a passenger. The man handed them over immediately. The TTE realized the boy had a plan. Together with another passenger, he opened the heavy train door. Freezing wind blasted inside. Passengers stepped back in fear. Shiva tied the red shawl around the torch. "My grandfather told me," Shiva shouted. "Before the bridge, there's a sharp curve. When the train turns there, the driver can see the back coaches." The train entered the curve. At that exact moment, Shiva leaned half his body outside the moving train. The icy wind slammed against his face. Still, he held on. With all his strength, he began swinging the red torch in circles. "Stop! Stop!" His voice couldn't reach the driver. But the red signal could. Inside the engine, the driver suddenly noticed a flashing red light through the fog. In railways, red means only one thing. Every story has a lesson, and many more unforgettable stories are waiting for you on StoryUSA-g. Subscribe now. Want more heart-touching stories like this? Hit subscribe and join the StoryUSA-g family today. Your one subscribe motivates us to bring more amazing USA-style emotional stories every day. If you believe small people can do big things, then subscribe to StoryUSA-g for more inspiring stories.